Hello and welcome to Who Does Roles TV. I am your host, Mike B, and I think out of the gate we should say Happy New Year to all our viewers, listeners, followers and all that sort of shenanigans. So yes, hello, Happy New Year to all of you. It's a fresh new year, literally just unwrapped. It's still quite clean, still smells quite fresh out of its cellophane, so that's probably, see how long it takes before we'll soil that. So, where are we at? Well, I thought it was a good opportunity, number one, to say, well, what's coming up? What are we doing this year? No, really, more than usual. But we're looking definitely kind of straight out the gate, very soon to be done, is I'm going to do a top 10 of last year's games. So the last 2019's top 10 of games we played and enjoyed and endured that year. And then following hot on the heels of that, I've managed, with a little bit of scratching of the head and homework, managed to get down to a top 20 of the last decade, and that's 10 years of games. So I've picked, and it's been hard, but I've picked 10 games that have come to the table more than once, been regularly played, stuff that we've enjoyed. So that's what I'm also compiling, and we'll be filming over the next week or so. So there's those sort of things. Aside from that, there's outstanding jobs of stuff that I'm trying to get done, which is the Lifeform Nemesis companion comparison piece, which is filmed, but I need to look at it again. I haven't had the time to edit it. There's a bunch of stuff that we need to review. Yeah, lots of stuff. It's just time. And I thought, well, as is a new decade, the last decade's still a lot going on. It saw the birth of Who Dares Roles, which we're now on maybe our 6th birthday coming up this year, maybe even the 7th. I don't know. We've been around a while, unbelievably, flying under the radar. We are board games' dirtiest little secret. And yes, I suppose some of you fresh to us might be wonder how long it's taken you this long to get here. How have you been around this long and failed so well? It's effort on our part, I feel. But yes, so Who Does Roles kind of birthed from the fact that we were a gaming group I was with. And we used to play a lot of gather friends, family. We used to gather up and we used to play video games. So we were playing stuff like NES classics sort of stuff, all stuff and Wii, the Cube, and then GameCube, Mario Pies, stuff we used to sit there and play video games. And that was regularly what we did on a fairly weekly basis, maybe a movie night or two, but playing a lot of the classic games, sat around playing and giving each other crap. Then it was a case of going to the cupboard and going, oh, actually, we haven't played a board game for a while. So we were back to things like Risk, Hero Quest got dug up. I think we even tried Advanced Hero Quest. So there's a bunch of the old classics, Diplomacy. All those were kind of dragged back up as I remember them playing in my youth, which led to me doing a bit of homework and going, oh, well, what else is out there? What else can we play? And that was kind of the commencement of Who Dares Roles, really. We played Risk Legacy was one of the early ones of I got to the group and we really kind of changed our worldview. And back at the time then, back in the oldie weldy days of board game thing, there wasn't that many podcasts. There wasn't that many YouTubers out there doing stuff. I mean, Dice Tower was still prevalent then. But sorry, I'm snotty apparently. A lot of the channels we now love and adore were either just getting going or were emerging. So at the time, I would start doing the podcast and a website because I was like, well, there's not many around, especially in the UK. There was very limited. There wasn't very much at all in the UK. So I started doing stuff at the golden age. I think Shut Up and Sit Down were one of the few UK ones of prominence that were around and still continue to be around. So started doing that, and which is how we find ourselves here. So there you go. I mean, there's a bunch of old stuff on the Who Dares Roles website if you want to have a look at it. There's lots of written reviews and stuff that I did over the time before we moved to more video stuff. But Charlie has been chunking out RPG content for the last good 2 to 3 years, and there's a bunch of his stuff on there, and there's more of his stuff I need to put on the site when I get 5 minutes. Time is very. Don't have a baby when you've got lots on. That's all I have to say on the matter. So that's kind of the birth of Who Dares Roles. There we go, waffling a little bit, which led me to another little bit of ancient history of kind of what set me on my nerd nirvana, my route, my journey to nerd nirvana, maybe even. There's a friend of mine was on Facebook, posted a thing, a sort of a remembrance of Mondo Comics, which was based in Portsmouth. even the Tricorn, if you know of such places. So back in the oldie worldy days of the 80s, there was the Tricorn in Portsmouth, which has subsequently sadly been demolished. It was this huge monolithic concrete structure. It just amazed me as a child, and it was like something out of Star Wars crossed with Blade Runner. And it was nooks and crannies and weird places. Just a strange thing, but beautifully kind of brutal, sort of brutalistic-y concrete slabs. Yeah, real scum of a dye of scum and villainy. And as a child, I used to love it just because to play around it, there's lots of stairs and things. It was just kind of cool. And in my later years, my late teens, and probably actually into my early 20s, there was Mondo Comics arrived on the scene, which was a gentleman called Dan Willett bought it. He built it and they shall come.
This is the perfect illustration of you. I turn on a camera to begin an interview and you immediately
Start talking? Oh, no.
No, not even talking. You immediately start to ask questions.
You've got to inquire, haven't you? You've got to know, get to know the people.
Yes, I know.
That's it. How'd you get down here then?
And it was nestled in the heart of the Tricorn, was a comic haven, and it was just a bizarre place of meeting of nerds, and everyone was welcome. It's kind of like a Cheers kind of feel. Everyone was made to feel welcome. There was such a mix of cultures, types of people, fans of all, as you would imagine, all sorts of stuff, and it was a bizarre sort of hangout.
Oh, it was friendly, it was happening, and it was based on Dan's dream. He took his hobby, his love for comic books and film memorabilia and horror and music, and he rolled it all into one, and he found a ready market.
Because I was there all the time, then it had to be an environment which made me happy before the customers, if that makes any sense.
Hip hop and street culture sort of stuff, and sick videos.
Saturdays would invariably be spent in the morning in Mondo, talking bollocks and comics and arguing over Star Wars and Star Trek with a bunch of, there was Dan, there was Jeff, and a bunch of other guys that were there. There's very few short in documentary pieces on it on the internet, which I'll maybe intercut some of it through this chat I'm having at the moment. Why am I rambling about this? Well, the end result is that Mondo was kind of a defining part of my youth. I mean, it was a comic. It was around about 89. It cropped up in the scene, and I was already a bit into the comic books. I've been following 2000 AD for many years. Batman was huge at the cinema, so comics was suddenly a thing. And so, yeah, I spent a great deal of time, many happy memories in Mondo Comics. Sadly, it is no longer with us. Sometime back in the 90s, it finally ceased trading. It moved out of Tricorn into a store on the side. Dan, who's kind of this mystery character at the best of times, is disappeared. He's out there somewhere. But yes, fascinating. My defining part of my youth was Mondo. And I've always, if I ever got around to the chance of making a building or having a board game cafe, that was what I wanted my board game cafe to feel like, a very welcoming but this sort of strange mix, hodgepodge of characters.
I think after a while the shop just became like an epicentre, it became like a little nucleus within Portsmouth. It has the reputation of a town of thuggery and just like hoodlums and all the rest, and there was this like little sanctuary safe haven which the comic shop became for like all the oddballs and eccentrics. And
there's many tales I could tell, some of them definitely not safe for being airing, but yes, Mondo Comics. If any of you were in Portsmouth in the 80s, 90s, then maybe you know Mondo Comics, and if you did you enjoy it? I loved it. And any of you people that were at Mondo Comics, hello to all you. Some of you I'm still in contact with, but there was a big broad range of people. Fascinating time into CCGs as well, the original Netrunner, Star Wars, the Cypher card game, Aliens, the original leading edge game. All this stuff emerged at the same time. Bit of Warhammer we were into as well, Games Workshop. So yeah, fascinating. I've gone off a ramble down memory lane, but there we go. That was the defining things that sort of who does rolls to where we are now. Anyway, nonsense aside, what we got? Well, a lot coming up in the year to come. A new decade, a new year. Lots to be doing. It's very exhausting just thinking about it. So, happy New Year again to you. Enjoy your new year. I'm sorry about the rambling. We'll be back soon with the top 10 lists and the decade list and a bunch of reviews we need to get done and other assorted stuff. Who knows what content's coming? I don't know myself from one week to the next, but stuff will be happening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do stuff. We have a Patreon account, which I've mentioned more than once, I think, and other stuff. Podcast, yes. I don't know what's going on with the podcast. We haven't put an episode out for a good few months. It is still there in my head. I need to get stuff done. I need to think about what I'm going to do with that. So yes, it's all just finding the time. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Just let you know we're all still alive, and be back soon with some stuff. Yes, thank you, and goodbye.